Today on the Billionaire Belief Show, we will be talking about scale thinking systems. Scale thinking is a big part of what is going to allow you to think outside the box, go beyond ordinary business thinking. So now I want to talk to you about some systems that are specific to scale thinking that you want to be looking to put in place with your operation. All right? So the first point, franchising and licensing. Scaling a business by allowing others to run it under your brand. So think about it. You come up with this idea, McDonald's. Then you are trying to grow the business. And so you do whatever you can do, but it's just not working out. You people are running the restaurants the way that they want to run them, or they're just not following your system. So how do you fix that out? How do you scale this operation with all those factors in place? Well, in comes a guy named Ray Kroc. If you haven't watched that movie, The Founders, you will know that Ray Kroc wasn't the guy who came up with the idea of McDonald's, but he was the guy who figured out how to turn it into a $1 billion business. Why? Scale thinking. So he was able to utilize something called a system, and that system was franchising. He was able to take the McDonald's concept and then package it up like a product and sell it to owner operators who are looking for something to put money into that will make them more money without them having to start something from scratch. And so because Ray Kroc was able to come in and put a system in place, he was able to then utilize franchising and licensing to take the business to the next level. So he was able to create the franchises by obviously having a basic store model, and then he licensed the idea, the intellectual property, to said individuals or the franchisees who wanted to buy it, and then he just did that over and over again, rinse and repeat. And now we see McDonald's billions of burgers sold. And quite frankly, McDonald's isn't even a burger restaurant. McDonald's is a real estate company when you really think, pull back all the layers. And so that's what you want to be doing when it comes to your idea. If your goal is to scale it up as big as possible, you want to go from being you want your idea to go from being just this one man shop, or this small band shop, to being able to package it up, systematize it, and then take that system, put a little bow on it, and then be able to present this system to others and sell that system. And then now you're going to be able to have these franchisees, they're going to license the IP from you, and then boom, now you're going to be able to turn the business into $1 billion operation. And so franchising and licensing, that's one of the most important systems that you're going to be need to utilizing if your goal is to operate like a billionaire. Next, automation and AI. Automating repetitive processes to scale operations without adding headcount. Labor is one of the most, if not the most expensive line items on every major business's income statement. And the reason why is because you need people to run your operation. Like, that's where you get the leverage from. But just because you have all these people, doesn't mean that you want them to be operating in a more an inefficient and ineffective manner. And so to overcome that, especially now in the modern era, we now have things called automation and artificial intelligence, where we can identify repetitive tasks that need to be done on a day-to-day basis and figure out, like, how can I use technologies to do this for me so that I don't have to add another person onto my operation. And this benefits you because now you're going to get the scale in regards to still being able to grow the business without adding on more legs, which means that you are going to be able to minimize your labor costs, but you're going to be able to maximize your revenue and your profit. And so don't take technologies and artificial intelligence for granted. That's why, as the leader, the visionary, the creator, one of the most important things you're going to be having to do in your operation is understand the importance of figuring out what are the tasks that we can automate so that we can make our operations more efficient and effective, but also two, we don't have to worry about adding more people, onto our payroll. So automation and AI, like those are going to be two main things that you want to tap into. All right, next, platform thinking. It says turning a service into a marketplace or network. So think of services like Uber. So before Uber, there was already taxi services. It was already a concept for, you know, people to come and need a ride. You needed a ride someplace, you can call a taxi, they'll come pick you up. Or you needed a ride, you can call a friend, they'll come pick you up. Or you could take the bus. But when it comes to scale and the system that you're going to need to make that happen, platform thinking in this case is a very important part of that because, as it says, there's plenty of services out here in the world, and as we are seeing, people are just turning these services into marketplaces. Another one being Airbnb. There were before Airbnb, there was already a space and market for short-term rentals in that regards. Hotels, motels, or you can I'll let a friend know you're in town and you want to borrow, need a room. But then someone came along and was like, you know what? Now we can turn something as simple as short-term rentals into a marketplace. There was someone who was like, we can turn something as simple as, getting a ride into a marketplace. Hence Uber and then hence Airbnb. So you got to be looking at the same thing. Another platform thinking system I've recently come across is Rover. And that's a platform where, again, there's plenty of people in the neighborhood who love dogs. They want to walk them, and they don't mind sitting them. But it was hard finding these local individuals to do these things for you because, again, no one really there was really no space to do it outside of, let's just say, local community boards that you would have to go find at, let's just say, the local post office, the local community center, or any other spot that offered some sort of opportunity for you to promote your services. But now with an app like Rover, if someone has taken that service, pet sitting, pet walking, and just turned it into a marketplace. So there's plenty of opportunities for you to do the same. You just have to put some thought into it and come up with an idea. All right. So platform thinking, like understanding that you can take an idea, you can take a service and turn it into a marketplace and make it so that you're connecting buyer and seller. All right. So last but not least, viral loops, built-in growth mechanisms. So i.e. referral programs and user-generated content. So viral loops, this is a good one for social media. So Facebook. Before Facebook, there were other platforms like MySpace, there was one called Black Planet. I believe there was one called Friendster. Like those are social media before social networking before there was social networking. But what made Facebook unique was a sense of exclusivity in that and when it first came out, you can only be a part of the platform if you were in college. And then the fact that it was user generated content. So as opposed to other sites where you went on them and the platform like ESPN, for example. So ESPN was a platform where it was about sports, but they produced the content. The user didn't produce the content, so it required a lot of capital investment and talent, and then licensing with the sports teams. But then here comes a platform like Facebook, where the content wasn't things that Facebook itself was creating. The content was the people on the platform, but also the things that they shared through their wall. That's what made you kept coming back because it was like, all right, well, what's such and such thinking about? What's such, is there somebody that likes art like I like art? And so there was just, you had the ability to go on there and just find content, and you can just create your own content. That was like the first time you could do that as well. Another platform where user generated content was big was YouTube. And YouTube in a sense was another like platform thinking concept as system as well, because again, there was already spaces out there where, you know, TV was basically was YouTube, where, but again, you had to wait for the programming that they wanted to give you, whereas YouTube gave you the opportunity to create your own programming, quote unquote, your own videos in a sense, and then put them out there, and then people were able to come on the platform and consume the content. So YouTube didn't have to create any content. All they had to do was create the platform, and then, which was pretty much the middleman, and then they just took, and then that allowed people to take, you know, use their platform to post their content on it. So you can create whatever video you wanted, you can put it on there, and then people will come and watch it. And that's what ultimately was driving traffic, was user generated content. So that's a viral loop. So when it comes to whatever you're doing or you're working on, think of again like what kind of systems, viral loop systems, can I add? You know, is there an opportunity for you to have some sort of user generated content, you know, or is there an opportunity for you to have some sort of a referral program where, you know, the amount of times people refer someone to your product, you know, obviously they get a commission, but again, you get a new customer. So think about those things when it comes to you being able to do what you want to do for, you know, your opportunity and your operation when it comes to scale thinking and the systems that you can be using to make that happen. All right, so thanks for tuning in. Looking forward to you tapping into the next video.